What is going on, everybody? Jumbo Thick here, back with more Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. This is our Rise of the Forsaken 4th edition campaign. I am, of course, your GM, your DM for the night, Mr. Jumbo Thick, and I am joined by the Unfortunate Fellowship, Mr. Doobie209, Jumbo Smooth, and Pierce Galactic. Go ahead and introduce yourselves briefly. Most people should know who you are by now, but you never know. Might have a couple new listeners.
Hello everyone, I am Jumbo Smooth. I'll be playing the role of Marius Wolf this evening. I'm a 27-year-old, 5'8", gray-haired, blue-eyed peasant, pit fighter, pugilist. Can't wait to start the game.
What's going on, everybody? Doobie209 here, and I play Seamus McGreedy, the supposedly 23-year-old road warden turned bounty hunter who is currently in the loving embrace of a vampire.
Indeed he is. Indeed he is. And Mr. Galactic.
What's happening, everybody? This is Pierce Galactic. I reprised the role of Bragadin Bonneau, Bragadin the Bold, and we are trying to rescue my beloved sister Emma and Seamus from these foul undead creatures, and I am on the point of death, as usual.
Almost there, right on the cusp, right on the precipice. But let's get a brief recap to bring us to that very exciting roll that we might have to make, maybe, depending on how things go. Last we left off, the Fellowship had found themselves in Bretonnia, and through a summons for Mr. Bragandine from his father, and written by his mother, to attend the wedding, or the ceremony, that was to be the wedding of his younger sister, Emma. There was a grand tournament held to decide who was going to be her groom. As a representative of the Bonneau family was required, and Bragadine's older brother, the most obvious choice, was found incapacitated, a sub needed to be made, and thus entered Sir Seamus, who became the knight-errant representative of the Bonneau family. The tournament was going rather well, all things considered, until Seamus ended up going against a mysterious and rather unassuming knight with great physical prowess, whom turned out to be none other than a dreaded vampire, Sir Michael Fries, who spoke to you in Reichspiel and also Bretonnian for you as well, Bonneau, and proceeded to unleash, with the aid of many other foul individuals that may or may not have been dispersed throughout the crowd, a horde of undead that swept through the tournament, turning it into a literal charnel field, as foul dire wolves ripped horses and men apart, and knights were slain and beaten by vampire younger knights. And zombies and skeletons ran rampant, cutting down all living things that they came into contact with. During this scuffle, Seamus was almost killed. Marius barely able to fend off the creatures from ripping him asunder. Bonneau, in fact, lost his footing and went down at some point, while Emma was dragged away and was whisked by Sir Michael Fries off into the distance. At the same time, some kind of siege must have happened at the Bonneau Castle, as it was seen to be burning, as well as much of the countryside. After the dust had settled, everyone was collected, given a rather foreshadowing abduction by Seamus of a massive Vargeist, much larger than most, that had just had it out for Seamus for some reason. Not exactly sure what's going on there, but though he escaped the first time, and after a short stay in the Bonneau Castle, where a Grail Knight decided to lead a band of individuals to hunt down this foul vampire and possibly return young Emma back to her family. All of you, of course, joined, were outfitted with what was left of the Bonneau arsenal, and were sent on your way with a few men, as well as some Grail pilgrims that were joining the Grail Knight Tristan de Vries. You set out from the castle, and after a full day's ride, ended up at a keep of a sort that marks the edge of the Bonneau territory, known territory. The keep was deadly quiet. As you entered, you decided to set up camp outside and, of course, investigate the tower, as there should be men present. After a few unfortunate rolls and just bad luck, as it was, you ended up in some sort of ambush as zombies came spilling out of side doors, trapping you in a hallway. Marius quickly turned that into a blender of undead meat, but the tower was set aflame, sending the three of you up and out, looking for a way down safely. Meanwhile, the courtyard was besieged by the undead horde once again. And before you could find a way down, Seamus was snatched off the top of the tower by the same Vargeist that tried to collect him the day before, and flown off into the distance. Marius and Bragadine managed to make it down the tower, climbing down. It was almost a very perilous journey, but you made it down successfully, just in time to attempt to save Tristan de Vries, whom, though supernatural in his abilities, was having a difficult time fighting off 3 vampire knights by himself, as well as a horde of undead that lay smitten around him. Bragadine boldly decided to flee, but was chastised by Marius, leading them to charge
He remembers
the remaining vampires. However, Bragadine was quickly cut down, and then Marius had to save the day like he always does. And upon dispatching the final vampire, the undead horde all collapsed simultaneously, as if they were tethered to the will of these creatures. And with that, everything grew eerily quiet. And that's actually where we're going to pick up today. Seamus did find himself, however, in a bit of trouble, as he was flown who knows how far away, as he lost consciousness in and out for quite some time. And ended up, what we can assume, is the Black Barrows, and he was ultimately captured after finding Emma by Sir Mihail, God, I'm going to say that so many times, Mihail Fries himself, that clutched him by the throat and sent him back into darkness. But we are picking up with Marius and Seamus. Marius, the final vampire, was dispatched. Tristan de Vries, the Grail Knight, is smashed up against the side of the tower. He looks battered and torn, and his eyes aren't glowing as brightly as they were before, but they are still fluttering. There's still life left in this man. Meanwhile, Bragadine is laying beside you, or more like at your feet, and he looks very, very badly hurt.
Okay.
But it has been said.
I'll probably help out Bragadine.
Okay.
Probably help out Bragadine first since he's closest to me.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a heal check. And you notice that he's bleeding currently. This will be to staunch the flow.
Okay. Ooh, yeah, I got 22 out of 37.
Okay, with a critical success, all your bleeding conditions are removed, Bragadine.
I got bandages if he needs bandage.
Well, you're not going to need them. You manage to, wherever you find, you see the amount of blood coming out of him, though he's lost quite a bit. You've seen him lose more. And with some... You're becoming a regular field medic at this point, with how often you've had to patch up your companions and yourself occasionally. You easily manage to pinch off some of the nearby veins, because he wasn't arterial, and in doing so, the blood stops. And oddly enough, Bragadine, you regain consciousness with one wound because of his critical success.
What happened?
Oh, you fought valiantly, Bragadine. They're dead now, for at least a time.
I think they're already dead, but yes.
I'm gonna go see the Tristan. Check their bodies, see if they have anything that might tell us where we need to go.
Good idea, Marius. Good idea.
I'm gonna rush over to Tristan as quickly as I can.
You begin to move towards the Grail Knight, and as you get closer, you notice there's several bad wounds about this man. And he, however, locks eyes with you, Marius, as you approach, and begins to stand up of his own accord and gains his footing. He's a little shaky at first, but after a moment, he is standing. Your talents may be necessary elsewhere. And he motions over towards a few remaining men that are still standing in this courtyard, the party that came with you.
I'll go check on them. If there's still some men left alive, I guess.
You glance over mostly towards the entrance, where most of them were fending off God knows what. And there are just bodies everywhere. Mostly undead, rotten flesh, but some of them are fresh as well, as you recognize several of the men that you were traveling with previously are fallen. But there are 2 men-at-arms of the Bonneau household still standing, as well as 5 of the Grail Pilgrims, though one of them looks like he's not going to last long. He looks like he's missing an arm, and 2 of the other pilgrims are trying to hold him down and trying to assume to patch him up somehow, though they probably don't know how. Just giving from what you've seen them doing over your long ride, probably best to say that they are simple folk of a kind.
Yeah.
But yes.
Is that Hunter still alive? What's his name?
Are you looking? Are you looking for him?
Well, this is just as I run over there, I just kind of taking.
You're kind of looking around. Go ahead and give me a perception test. It might be difficult to find
him specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got. I got a 63 out of 57.
Yeah, you don't see him as you're moving in that direction. Now, if you want to stop and start flipping over bodies, or
Probably.
begin looking around, then that's a different story.
Probably not. I'm just probably, as I'm rushing over there, just trying to take stock of
Okay.
who I
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah. Those are the men you see. You see 7 men standing, more than you'd hoped for, given the large amount of undead creatures around you. But yes, you head over. I'm assuming you're heading towards the one that's gravely wounded.
yeah, I'm gonna go help whoever I can.
Okay. Most of the other ones look like they've taken heavy blows. Some of them have got deep cuts, but nothing that appears to be life-threatening. There's only one man that obviously has a life-threatening wound. You approach and go ahead and give me a heal check, and then we will see how well this goes.
That is a 17 out of 37.
17, 37. So 2 levels of success. Okay.
Two.
With 2 levels of success, you kind of look the man over as you see these 2 other pilgrims and they're all in tattered clothes, and now they're covered in just fresh blood and, of course, the old stale blood of the undead creatures that they were valiantly keeping out of the main courtyard as best they could. And the one missing an arm, you notice that the cut is at a strange angle, and you begin to look him over and clamp off what you can. And you notice that you do get him to stop bleeding, but there might be some other things necessary if you wish for him to survive. Many implements that you more than likely are not skilled with, as he may need surgical care.
Surgery.
But
Yeah, I would know it. I just know he needs surgery, but probably can't do it myself.
But you've spent enough time patching people up, and with 2 levels of success, you might be able to save this man if you cauterized his arm.
Is there a fire? I know. Well, I guess the whole thing.
There's fire everywhere. Currently, the large tower is smoldering, and luckily for all of you, it's crumbling and falling away from the main entrance. But and it's still heavily listing, and pieces of the top of it are slowly falling off. The stables and everything else around here is also burning actively. So there's plenty of flame to look for. The outside walls were stone, so luckily those are not burning, though some of them are heavily damaged. And thankfully, the main drawbridge is also made out of metal, and it seems to be unaffected.
Okay. Is there like a fallen halberd or axe, maybe large sword that I can grab to heat up to try to cauterize his wound?
There's definitely a few halberds of some of the men-at-arms that lost their lives laying next to them.
Mm-hmm. I want to grab some large piece of flat metal that I can put in the fire and heat up.
Okay. You go ahead and you snatch up one of the halberds and move over, probably to the stable's the closest thing, just to heat the metal, put it directly in the flame. As you do, Maris, you approach the stable and you notice that the horses that you brought with you. Go ahead and give me an outdoor survival roll, Marius.
Oh boy. That's a 19 out of 51.
3 levels of success. There are 3 horses still standing. You recognize the Grail Knight's, Sir Tristan's mount, is still rather spry. It looks like it has kicked and bucked several creatures that were, several of these zombies that were trying to pull it down and rip it to pieces. One of the horses has been ripped to pieces, and 2 of the others are still there, though they bear claw marks and several bite marks all on their haunches, where right before you slew the last vampire, it looks like the undead minions were about to bring them down as well, but they are still, all 3 of them are standing. And they are currently pulling violently at their tethers as they're trying to escape the burning stable.
I'll yell at Bragadine. Bragadine, the horses! Tell your men!
Mr.
I
Bonneau?
don't speak Bretonnian, you know.
I was waiting till you finished with Mary because I figured we were actually kind of doing 2 separate things.
Yeah, we are.
Here.
We will be doing 2 separate things. So
Okay. Yeah.
right before that, though,
go
ahead and give me a. This is going to be a intuition test.
For Bragadine?
Yes, for Bragadine.
Okay. I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay.
Oh, good. I'm glad I did. So I got 42 out of 61. That's only 1 level of success.
That is fine. That's still pretty good.
Okay.
So, Bragadine, as Marius began to walk off initially, and you hear one of the Grail Pilgrims screaming as several of the others are holding him down, see 2 of your men still standing out in the distance, almost shell-shocked, kind of just staring out at the emptiness of the nearby chasm. But you begin flipping over and looking at the foul creatures that had beset the mighty Grail Pilgrim, whom you and Marius defeated. You recognize the armor immediately as those individuals that you saw escorting the vampire at your sister's wedding. So these are definitely vampire knights of some kind. They were highly skilled, extremely skilled, in fact. It is a blessing that you were able to destroy them at all.
Praise the lady.
And as you begin to glance over the armor, you're not exactly a skilled outdoorsman, but you do notice that they have some kind of strange dried muck about their person. It looks almost like, it looks kind of like mud, and then you recognize it as the same muck that you saw on Gaston.
It's boots. Oh,
indeed. And
I take note of that to mention to Marius when I go back over to him.
Yes, you don't know where it comes from, but you get the idea that there's obviously some kind of link about these creatures. They're all coming from the same place. However, Bragadine, you also notice that out of the 3 that you can see, one of them is missing a head, of course, but one of the ones closest to you, you look to his face, Bragadine, and there's something familiar about this vampire. Though the face is much more pale, and of course it has begun to shrivel a little bit since it has been brought back down to death once again. And their eyes have turned an eerie red, very similar to Sir Mihail Freeze. You would recognize this former undead as one of the knights of your own family.
No.
Someone who's been...
No.
You would recognize him as when you were younger. He hasn't been around for quite some time. But you would know that your father sent out a contingent of knights at the behest of a visitor at some point. It was in the distant past. You barely gave it any train of thought, as it was. You had more things on your mind, being a young 15-year-old Brigadine Benoit. But he sent a cohort of knights along with a man with a funny hat from the Empire that was talking about creatures in the mountains. And they were all sent out, and they never returned. And this is definitely one of those men.
Sacre bleu.
Yep. Couldn't say it better myself. I kind of stand in shock and just kind of digest that a little bit. Marius, where are you, Marius? There you are. I'm going to do a little scavenging, just kind of on my way back to walking over to Marius.
Okay.
Because I lost my sword. I want to see if I happen to notice my sword or something like that.
This is after I told him to get the horses?
We'll say this happens at just that moment, Bragadine. You hear him call for the horses.
Oh, yes. I will grab them. Good idea, Marius. And I'll head over towards the horses. Glancing back over my shoulder at the ex-family knight / vampire.
Okay. You begin walking towards the stables, Bragadine, a little out of it. And
Hurry, Bragadine!
Yes.
I'm moving, Marius.
They will die!
But who?
The
horses? Oh, of course.
I start yelling at.
I
run.
I don't realize.
The people.
I'm kind of shocked.
Yeah.
Just woke
I am
up.
yelling right now at this point.
Okay.
Trying to get people's attention to come.
I'm running.
The stables.
I'm running now.
All right. After
Running to the
seeing
stables.
you run, Bragadine, as you begin to run, the men-at-arms, your family's men-at-arms, your subjects that do your bidding, turn around and see you running towards the stables, and they do the same. They're much closer than you, and so they make it to the stables before you do, and they falter for a moment at the burning stable with the horses inside. I'm going to need you to make me a leadership test, Bragadine, to save these horses.
What are you doing, fools? Get in there. Save them. They're worth more than your entire family. 55. It's Bretonian, man. So I rolled a 55. I think that's going to turn out really great. Let me see here. 55 out of 70.
Okay. Yes, it does turn out really great. As the men, they pause for just a moment as you begin berating them, and then they charge headlong in, just completely with disregard to their own lives at this point, running to the soon to become inferno that is this makeshift stable. They slice the reins and begin fumbling out behind the horses that immediately bolt out of the stable into the main courtyard. And all the horses have been saved.
Good. Perfect. All right.
Good job,
Gentlemen, I will. Marius, I will. What should I do? And my men-at-arms there, I will make sure an entire half a copper goes to each one of your family for your bravery.
Oh, that's most gracious, my lord.
Hopefully they won't have to use it to pay for your funeral.
Yeah, they're both like coughing up soot and smoke, kind of bent over next to Marius.
Is my halberd heated up?
At this point, yes, it would be heated up for you to make your
what are you
de
doing over
facto
here,
surgery.
Ooh.
I've got to try to save this man's life.
Someone find a strap of leather for him to bite down on. You. When you're not one of the men at arms.
Yeah. Yes, my lord.
Your
I'll
belt.
run over there
Take it off. You don't need to bite on it.
Of course, he takes his belt off and hands it over to Marius as he's walking away.
All right. I'll grab it and I'm hustling over to the peasant.
All right. He's like trying to hold his pants up with one of his hands, and it's very awkward.
Stand up straight.
Yes, of course.
We're my family's colors.
You end up making over to the man very quickly. It's not too far from there, and go ahead and give me one more heal roll, and we'll see how this goes.
Oh boy. I'm gonna reroll. That was 100.
Yes, please do.
Light him on fire. Oh shit! I rolled a 1.
No, you did not.
Oh yeah.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
God.
100 and then a 1.
Okay. Well, with a supremely critical success, you hand the belt over to one of the other pilgrims who knowingly, even though you don't speak the same language, bring it into the man's mouth. They've seen or probably performed several makeshift surgeries themselves in a more primitive fashion. And you take the heated metal, and the man's eyes go wide as you get it closer and closer to the stump that is no longer bleeding, and you press it in, and he starts trying to scream as loud as he can, as there is a smell of burning flesh, and oddly it smells like barbecue. And you peel away the halberd, and it has been completely cauterized. And as you admire your work, Marius, you think that's
not half bad.
Yeah, not bad work. He probably won't get an infection, and he'll probably live. Good. Yeah, not bad.
Poor bastard.
Oh, good work, Marius. Oh, you should be a surgeon. Look at what a good job you did.
Oh, thank you. And I throw down the halberd and in like some mud, and then I'll try to patch up anyone I can if you let me or whatever. And
Yeah. Most people just have simple scrapes. A couple of them have more serious wounds, but nothing life-threatening, like I said before. And given enough time, it depends on how much time you guys want to spend here.
Well, I want to look over these vampires.
Okay.
And then I want to burn those vampires.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to look around a little bit too, actually. So, but right now, I would assume Bragadine would be just calming the horses.
Yes.
Just checking on them. He's Bretonian. Is kind of important. So
yeah,
just
exactly.
checking on them and making sure they're okay.
All right. Let's see here, Bragadine. Bragadine, do you have animal care?
I do not.
Oh, no.
Do not.
Okay.
Oh, Jumbo,
I
what are you
do.
about to make me do?
You begin to approach the horses. Go ahead and make me a... Do you know which stat it runs off of, real quick, Marius?
It's willpower.
Willpower? Okay, just go ahead and give me a willpower check, Bragadine, as you approach the horses.
Okay.
You have a pretty good chance at
Come
this.
on.
You should
All right,
be good
got
at
a
that.
50% chance. Come on, lady.
Kick
There
you
we
in
go.
the dick.
And it's 41. Cool. 41.
Okay, just barely a success as
Barely a success.
you approach several
Little spook from
horses.
the fire.
You can tell that they're agitated. They are kind of a few of them are stomping around. The only one who is at calm and at peace is the Grail Knight's horse, which should be said. I mean, it's obviously a fine steed of some sort for him to be keeping it. The other two look very agitated, and as you approach, one of them begins to rear its hind legs and looks like it was just about to lay you out and possibly kill you. But it stops as you approach and you put your hands up and you calm the animals down.
Easy, girl. Come on. Sweet, sweet. There we go.
And they begin to finally calm down, despite the innate fear that most of them have of the nearby environment, the dead bodies, and of course the open flames that are nearby. But Sir Tristan begins to approach you, Bragadine, taking the reins of his horse. Very good, sir.
Thank you, Blessed Knight.
Seems that this creature doesn't wish us to make our final destination. It appears that we've lost our guide, however. Is there any amongst your number that might track these individuals?
I can check with my men-at-arms. I did notice something, perhaps a clue to the whereabouts. Come over here, Blessed Knight. Marius, come, look at this too. On the vampires here, look at it's like a mud. This is the same mud that I also saw on the treacherous Gaston before he attacked me back at the tournament.
I noticed that dirt as well. It was a different color than your surrounding earth.
It was.
And as the three of you are looking at it, Tristan just kind of shakes his head. Perhaps I should seek the lady's blessing.
I will ask the men-at-arms. They are much more familiar with mud than we would be. If any of them might recognize where it is from, Blessed Knight, and we will let you pray.
Yes, he approaches the well towards the center and looks like he's probably going to draw another pitcher of water and sit down and pray for guidance with no one else having any good ideas here. Marius,
right.
Go ahead and give me a geology roll, I do believe you have that as a skill.
I do.
Yes.
He does. Yep.
It's a 32 out of 37.
Okay, just a success. So, it's not rocks, but it's of the earth, Marius. And you would recognize, though not identical, you've seen similar mud like this, or at least you've heard of mud like this from some of the passing miners and passing people in and out of Sealburg, as described as swamp, almost like a bog of some kind. There aren't any too close to Sealburg, but you have heard at least that some of the mud can be as treacherous as the foul Arabian far reaches, that one merchant that passed through town all those long years ago that told you of quicksand. And it can be just as bad, and only is present amongst dark places in the world as you know it. And by dark, I mean you've heard tales of battlefields and places of great death that stink and become these fetid places where this mud and obviously the undead sometimes gather. though you would not know the surrounding area, so that would be your best bet, would be to point them in the direction of a bog or swamp or something close to it.
I'll tell Bragadine and Sir Tristan, I believe it's a type of consistency of a bog or a cursed battlefield where the mud could consume a whole man. I've heard stories from travelers coming from Silberg.
You men over there. Oh, come over here. I'm yelling to the peasants and I guess the pilgrims.
Yes, and a few of the pilgrims do in fact approach, and they divert their eyes from Sir Tristan in deference as they approach, as he's over there collecting his water at this point, beginning to get down on his knees and pray, looking into the pail of fresh water.
Yes, he is communing with the lady over there. Come. Who here knows the lands around here? We are looking for what did you say, Mary? A bog. He said
Battlefield, perhaps. Bog. Yeah.
We do not know of this word. We know of the muddy place. Is that what you mean?
Yes, fool. Come here. Tell us about this muddy place and where it is.
Well, it's about last time me and old Fingers over there, and he points towards the man who's missing an arm. Well, perhaps we should just call him Finger now. But me and Finger passed through this area some time ago before we met our Lord, the mighty holy Tristan de Vries. And as he does that, he clutches at a chicken bone around his neck that's been like laced on a necklace. Looks like quite a bit of time has been placed tying this scrap of food to his person. We was hunting, not poaching, hunting, and we passed by a dark place 2 days to the north. And it had a lot of mud.
Marius, they said there's a place 2 days to the north of here where is much of this type of mud. I did not see where the beast flew off to, but we have horses. If they were on foot, we may be able to make it in much less time. Were you on foot or were you on steed when you went through here, when you were hunting, as you said?
We was walking.
They were on foot, Marius. I have a feeling that once the horses calm down, and they're almost ready, we might be fleet and get there much swifter.
Well, while he's talking to me, I'm going to be looking over these vampires.
Okay.
For anything else, but and if I don't find anything, I'm just going to be dragging them over to a fire of some sort, probably the biggest fire.
Yeah.
You men, help him there.
Yeah, you glance them over, and there's not a lot on their person.
Armor?
There is armor. It is blackened plate armor. It smells horrible. Would you
probably put it on if it smells terrible?
Do you want to go ahead and put it on?
No, Marius probably, since it smells terrible, probably wouldn't.
Okay.
He tries to be clean if he can,
Of course. I mean,
covered in blood, though.
Yeah, they not only are they covered in blood, but they reek of death. Like in and of itself.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes.
But no.
Yes.
Marius is gonna, if he doesn't find anything like clue wise, he's just gonna drag him over to the big fire.
Drag him over, and ironically, the bottom of the tower, the doors are like just burnt off and just laying smoldering. The whole bottom of the tower has turned into a makeshift oven now, And you see several of the men-at-arms are doing the same, just kind of picking up bodies nearby and tossing them into the into the inferno. And it's acting like a giant kiln or a incinerator.
I'm gonna toss one in, grab the other. I'm gonna pick him up and just say, tell Moore that I sent you back to his garden. And I throw him in the inferno.
Okay, all right. You toss the remaining vampires into the flaming pit, and they are quickly reduced to ashes, and their armor begins to, even in this superheated state, begins to crack, splinter, and you see it beginning to warp. So it'll be some time before it is ruined, but regardless, it is done.
Yeah, while Bragdon's talking to me, I'm just going to be tossing as many bodies as I can in there.
All right.
I'm going to be looking around for my sword or a sword.
You do find your sword, Bragadine, near the tower, in fact, where it was knocked away. And you managed to collect it. And what are we doing now that has been done?
Final thing for Marius before we head out to try to follow this bog or go to this swamp area, mud place. One last, do I need to do another heal check for myself?
You can.
Okay. Took some damage. I'm gonna re-roll. Alright, that's better than nothing. That's gonna be a 35 out of 37.
Okay, so you just reclaim your intelligence bonus and wounds.
Okay.
But yes.
Marius, can you help?
Go ahead.
Check my bandages and make sure they're okay. I bled quite a lot there, and I'm still feeling weak. I just don't want to make sure I reopen my wounds.
Yes, you glance him over, Marius, and he's as good as you can provide currently.
Okay.
But I will also remind you that you were approaching this place to make camp for the night. You have not slept.
That's true.
You can press on.
Sir Tristan is still in prayer, right?
Sir Tristan he's looking okay. And yes, he is still currently in prayer, but the men around you look haggard and beaten and exhausted. But with the proper incentive, perhaps they can be pushed beyond their means. And of course, you yourselves can be pushed beyond your normal mortal coil with some good rolls if you want to forego sleeping.
Marius, I have something else I will share with the knight when he is done, but I must tell you something. One of those vampires, he was once a knight of my family. I vaguely remember it. It was many years ago when I was but a wee lad, squire's age. But there was a man from the Empire. He had a very strange hat that was tall with a wide brim, quite unfashionable, quite hideous. But we won't. It does not matter. But he took some of my father's knights, and something about some monster or sorcerer. I cannot. It was so long ago, but they disappeared. And now today, I see the same knight as a vampire. I don't know. I do not know what it means, but it frightens me, Marius.
Guess they were returned by the beast. Tragic.
We must move swiftly. We must save Emma before this happens. But I'm probably so weak. I probably have to sit down real quick just from talking. Should we try to press on, Marius, or should we try to rest? The men are about to fall down. I can barely stand. I'm I don't want to fight them again and be so weak.
Let us rest for the night and then press on at first light.
All right.
I don't know if it's wise
men,
to be venturing out into the darkness. It is night,
You
right?
are wise, man.
It is.
Night?
It is the dead of night at this point. Yes, very much so.
Okay. Yeah.
Good.
I know I can see pretty well, perhaps Sir Tristan, but I don't know about the rest of your men. Let's fortify this entryway and camp for the night out here.
It's
Yes, you men. Get to work. Make a barricade over there and set up camp close to the fire for us.
and your men at arms are there, and my lord, do you mean to raise the bridge?
If it can be done.
Of course, my lord. And they approach a series of it's essentially a large wheel is what it is, and they begin to, and it's located next to the actual where the drawbridge is. They begin to work the machinery, the gears, and slowly it begins to raise. Very well maintained. And within a few moments, the burnt out remnants of this keep are cut off from the outside land. And we are going to flip over to Seamus McCready.
Ooh.
Seamus, you awaken. You glance about. You have one wound, Seamus. You begin to feel about your person. You are naked, except for a pair of trousers. No shoes, no shirt, no weapons. And your mask is gone. You are in total darkness, Seamus. Your back is against a wall. It feels stone, cold, very, very cold and damp. What do you do, Seamus?
Can I move? Like, am I chained or anything?
You go to move around, you are not chained to anything.
Well, start feeling around like the walls and see if I'm in like a box or a cage.
Okay. You begin to feel around and you feel stone behind you. Then you wave your hands out in front of you and you feel nothing.
I'll kind of like crawl forward with like a hand out till I feel something.
Okay. You begin crawling. Do you get down onto the floor?
Yes.
Okay. You get down onto the floor, and as you do, you feel that the floor itself is also stone, but it appears to, or it feels like it is very damp and wet. And you crawl forward, and you crawl forward about 5 or 6 feet, and then your hand hits something solid. It doesn't feel like stone. Maybe wood? Maybe a door?
I'll keep feeling around and slowly like stand up.
Yep. And you eventually do feel that there is a door in front of you. And as you begin touching it, you start, go ahead and give me, well, are you trying to be like stealthy? Are you trying to not let people know you're awake?
I wouldn't say stealthy. Probably, just trying to open it, but not, not loud. I guess normal.
Yeah, you begin kind of fumbling with where you assume the latch is, and you notice there's nothing there. There's no handle on the inside of this room. There is, however, a hole where it feels, judging from your thumb passing over it a few times, that there's a keyhole for one of the old-fashioned locks that this door has on it. That it appears it can be locked and unlocked from the inside as well if you have the key. Sadly, judging from the state of your apparel, you do not have the key on you. But you feel up towards the door, and you do feel that there is some kind of metal slat that's just about head level, almost like a metal window. And as you do, the window slides open, and greenish light floods into the room, and you are completely blinded for a moment, probably stumbling back. As you begin to blink your eyes open, you would notice that there are metal bars on the other side of this open window, metal slats into the actual door itself. And there's a hideous face looking at you from the other side. I see you're awake.
Where am I?
Oh, yes, he told me they'd be bringing me something nice. As soon as I saw you the first time, I knew you were special. I knew you would be good research.
Who might you be?
Oh, my dear, you do not recognize me? And he steps a couple steps back into the light that he was darkening with his shadow. And as you look out, Seamus, you see a human. You see a man standing there. He is not exactly tall. He's a little bit taller than Bragadine, about 5'6", 5'7". He has the build of a Bretonian. And though he is wearing like tattered, they look like rags of some kind of perhaps leather, or you're not exactly sure. Something about it just looks strange. It's got a weird pigment to it, and it looks like it's been stitched together by hand, and is not exactly seamless. It's not done very well, as if a unpracticed person made these clothing. And there's a strange cloak about him and his head, and he takes the cloak back, and as he does, you see a smiling face. And though the hair looks different, the eyes look vaguely familiar. But that's not the most horrifying thing about this face, as it looks like from the left ear to about the midpoint of his jaw, it looks like the skin is just missing, like it's sloughed off. And it looks like there's another layer of skin underneath, almost as if this person was wearing another person's face. And what's remaining of the face looks eerily like the servant from Bragadine's castle, the one he referred to as Gaston.
I knew coming to this fucking country was a mistake.
Well, you'll have plenty of time to regret your decisions. And he motions with some strange movements of his hand and a couple whispers that you can barely hear, barely audible. And two figures clatter into life that you didn't even realize were there before. You thought there were just two, perhaps, suits of armor next to the door on the outside. And as they spin towards the door, you notice that it is in fact two sets of archaic-looking black armor. But within the helmet, there is a skeletal face and eyes that glow with green balefire. And they approach the door, Seamus. What are you doing?
I'll probably back up to where I hit the wall, and then when they open it, I'm going to prepare to make a feeble attempt at running through and escaping.
Okay. As you begin to back up, go ahead and give me a athletics check, because there's something else in this room with you.
That is a 15 out of 47.
Okay. You begin to back up, and as you do, your foot catches on something behind you that it didn't before, and you stumble back for a moment, but you right yourself. You don't fall flat on your back. And you glance down, and you notice there's someone else in the cell with you. Or at least there used to be someone else in this cell with you, as there is, it looks like a man laying on his side, and his clothing has been just tattered and ripped to pieces. And in this quick moment, you don't get a lot of information, but you do see that his boot is missing that you tripped over, and it is just a skeletal foot sticking at the bottom of it, as if this person has been dead for a very, very long time. And then you stumble against the back wall as the door opens outward into the hallway. And these two creatures, these two skeletons in armor, these two grave guard, as it was, move in silently, almost autonomously, as they are in lockstep moving into the room. And I need you to give me a cool test.
That is a 27 out of 49.
While most men would succumb to the fear of such hideous and representations of undeath, Seamus McCready does not. The headsman will not bow to any fear from these creatures. And you see that they appear to be unarmed as they move in. However, as soon as they move in and see that you are at their ready, they both reach down onto their hips and pull a medium-sized wooden club. And it looks like they are going to beat you to death if you resist. What are you doing, Seamus?
I'm going to try to time it right, and I'm going to make that run for it, slide through their legs if that's
Okay.
a whole option.
That is
some way of escaping.
That's going to be an athletics test to attempt to slide between them.
Ooh, you know what? We're going to re-roll that because we barely failed. I rolled worse. All right. It went from a 52 to a 90.
Okay. In that case, we'll just go with the 52. But essentially, here's what happens. Seamus, you and you go to move. You're going to rush through them. And you've seen the undead. They're slow. They're not very... They don't really have their balance about them. Especially the skeletons and zombies that you've seen thus far. These ones move with a speed that is almost similar, if not more, than your average man. And you're just not prepared. As you dart forward, the one that's slightly in the lead lashes out with the club, connects with the side of your head, and you fall onto the ground. The second one approaches and then smacks you again in the head. Let's roll on the critical wound table since you resisted.
Jesus Christ.
And you go unconscious, Seamus, as you... and there is nothing. And then you begin to awaken, Seamus. And you're being dragged. I will give you back your 1 wound, Seamus. And you're not sure where you are, but each grave guard has got you under the shoulder, and you are being dragged, your legs behind you, as they are walking in lockstep with the necromancer Gaston a few feet ahead. The corridor is lit with varying torches, and you can tell you're in a similar place, if not the same place, as the barrow that you entered when you were first dropped off by the Vargeist. A few minutes pass, and then you come to a door. The necromancer opens it and then motions for the grave guard to bring you inside. Are you doing anything in these few moments, Seamus?
No. Seamus has been in these situations before, so he's just going to stay. He's pretend sleeping.
Okay, all right. And you kind of leave your head slack. They drag you inside, Seamus, and go ahead and are you attempting to look like you're asleep?
Yeah, I'd like staying limp.
Okay.
Eyes barely open.
Okay, eyes barely open. You can give me a perception test at -30.
All right. That's good. That's a 19 out of 21.
Okay, with a success, you're brought into a rather large corridor or a large room, Seamus. With just a success, you see that it's dimly lit in here, but you do see a few tables and you see an entire shelf that has books upon it. But the thing you notice immediately is the strange-looking slab in the center. It's just something about it looks weird. It's flat, but then there's a small device attached to it. It looks like it's all made of stone, but it looks archaic. And you're brought to this slab and placed upon it. And as you're placed upon it, your hands and arms are fitted into open metal plates on each side. If you were going to resist at any moment, this would be the best time. Are you going to do so?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm gonna spring alive now. It was all
okay.
These.
Go ahead and give me that strength check, and you better roll well because you got 2 grave guard holding you.
I did. That's a 23 out of 40.
Okay, let me make sure over here. Okay, you pull with your right hand, and you break free from the grave guard on your right, but you go to pull with your left, and you, as these just firmly clasp, and you realize that's your injured arm, and you just can't give it the full strength that you can with your right. Go ahead and roll me initiative, Seamus, and we'll see how this goes.
If my right hand's free, I want to punch him.
Okay.
Let's see. Initiative. That is a 11.
Okay, Seamus, you are first up.
Yeah.
Are you going to? So you tell me what you want to do right now. We are in combat officially in this room.
Yeah, just like a reflex reaction, either like trying to punch him or kick him. Kick him off with my arm.
Yeah, you go ahead and you try to lash out. Give me an unarmed attack, which for you is probably just your weapon skill.
All right. That's a 45 out of 45.
Okay, and All right, Seamus. The creature just looks at you, and it doesn't have an expression since there's no muscle or face. It's just a skull and a helmet, and you crack it across the face. It, ting! Your hand hurts really, really bad as you recoil, and the jaw is kind of out of line, and then it resets into place, and then brings a club on top of your head. Go ahead and make me a dodge roll at -20.
Oh, shoot. Let us dodge. I failed.
Yep, I did not. So you get cracked upon the top of the head. Let's see if you get a bad critical wound here. I'm not rolling bad for you. However, a deep cut opens up on the side of your head. And you begin to bleed. And since you drop below 1, you go unconscious yet again, Seamus.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going down easy.
After some time passes, Seamus, undisclosed amounts of time, you awaken. You feel fresh blood dripping down the side of your face. You can remove all bleeding conditions and give yourself 1 wound.
You know, I'm hoping by all this time passing, my friends are about to walk in the room to save me.
Hey, that's what you hope. That's what you hope. But you wake up and you're still on that slab. But you go to move your arms and they're bolted with there's metal rings, cuffs fitting you to this slab now. And you go to move your feet and there's similar cuffs around each ankle. You are incapacitated and stuck to this slab. And you see Gaston with his back to you. Awake again. You're all feisty one. I knew you would be. And now that you have free time, sort of, Seamus, go ahead and give me another perception test. No penalty this time.
That's a 44 out of 51.
With a critical success, Seamus, you begin glancing around the room, and you see in a pile on top of the table, you see a familiar mask with various cracks and chips in it. You also see your sword laying underneath it. And then you see an assortment of what you're assuming is all the equipment that you traveled into this place with, kind of just haphazardly thrown underneath the table in a pile. You see a gun, one of the pistols laying out on the floor, and all of your arms and armor that you don't see above, just haphazardly thrown. With a critical success, you also see, as you're looking at Gaston, one of the flaps on his cloak kind of rise as he's fiddling with some devices that you can't see. And as it does, you see a large key ring with a single key on it, dangling on his belt. And then the flap moves back into place. Well, this ought to be fun, Sir Seamus. And as he turns around, you see that he's got a large serrated knife in one hand, and he has a pair of pliers, archaic-looking pliers, in his other hand. Well, what do you say we get started? And we're going to cut away from Seamus in this moment.
Oh!
And
Man.
we're going to go back to Bragadine and Marius. So I'm assuming you guys took a full rest here.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, was there anything you wanted to do in the night? Or are we just going to pick up with the next day?
I'll just pick up the next day unless Braggadine wanted to.
How many wounds is a full rest?
Go ahead and
Toughness bonus?
and go ahead and make me an endurance test, and we'll see if you get anything extra.
Okay. Oh yeah, I got 41 out of 52. So
Okay,
one level success.
You get one more wound in addition to your toughness bonus. I'm assuming Marius doesn't need that many more.
I got what I needed. I rolled a 31 out of 65.
Okay.
And plus 5 toughness.
All right, so Marius is looking healthy. Sir Tristan walks out. He's actually awake by the time the both of you awaken, and he looks like he's rallied some of the peasants and your men at arms, Braggadine, to quickly break camp while you guys were sleeping. And you notice that his armor and the cloth that he's wearing is stained and looks like it's seen a great battle. The man is walking with it looks almost like no injury, as if he is fresh and just as good as he was the day you set out on this venture. Glad you were awake. Best hurry.
Yes, Blessed Knight. Yes, we are ready.
Are you guys mounted on horses?
We're following him.
Yeah, getting on the horse, getting ready, having the men at arms, kind of get all the stuff ready.
Yeah, and they help you get onto your horse, Braggadine, as you have one arm still, and they kind of help slide you up on top of there. And Marius, are you going to mount your own horse?
I think I'm going to hoof it with the peasants, probably.
Okay, you're walking with the peasants.
I'll let the wounded on the horse.
Okay.
Or whatever.
You go to tell the wounded man, you can't really speak the language, but you motion for him to ride the horse.
Mm.
And he looks like you slapped him in the face. He's and you see several of the men at arms look back at him, and they give him a look. And though you can't speak the language, Marius, you get the idea that if this man tries to ride this horse, they will cut him down where he stands.
All right. Is there any supplies we have that we can put on the horse, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, you could lighten the load easily enough. Put it onto the horse.
Yeah, well, we'll just do that then. And I'll walk by the horse.
You walk by the horse. Yes, indeed. You fit in with the motley crew of everyone that's still here. But nonetheless, you begin your venture. Unfortunately, your guide is dead, as you do, in fact, find his body at one point as you stayed the night in the keep. And after some time sifting, getting rid of as many of the dead as you could, chucking many of the others into the deep chasm below that you just didn't have the strength to keep moving corpses, you do, in fact, find the shattered remnants of a longbow and the corpse of your previous guide, the peasant from the Barrow territories that was escorting you. Without a guide, I need somebody.
You men at arms there.
You do have men at arms.
Who told us of the mud place?
That was me, sir. And this is one of the pilgrims.
Get up here.
Yeah, of course. He looks unsure of himself as he passes the two of you. Definitely looks down completely as he passes Sir Tristan, and begins looking around. I need both of you to give me intuition tests.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, 22!
Good thing I rolled a 46 out of 40.
Okay.
All right, 22 out of 61. So,
It makes sense that Marius wouldn't notice. You don't speak the language, and you're just kind of falling in with the rest of the men. But Bragadine, as the man passes you, and he's just looking around, he's mumbling to himself, and he begins walking, and he's not walking north. He's just kind of walking in a random direction, it appears. And your intuition's telling you that this man has no idea where he's going.
Where are you taking us?
I
I thought you said that was to the north.
It is the mud place, yes. This way.
Which is this direction you are taking us in at this moment, north?
Yes.
That's so strange because north is over there, as I point to my left, I guess.
Oh, yeah, of course, my lord. This is the way.
Bite
And
your tongue before I cut it.
he starts walking that direction, Bragadine.
What seems to be the problem, Bragadine?
Oh, Marius, the man at arms. Make sure that we find his family half a copper for this too. He apparently does not. He was lying to us. Maybe he's heard of this mud place, but he does not know where it is. Do you?
Well, we know at least the direction that we saw the creature fly off.
That is all I
general
know to do
direction.
too.
Yes.
Follow that route.
You would be able to recognize that, for sure.
I have
Just-
some
just a-
experience in the outdoors. I might be able to pick up signs that we're getting closer to swamplands.
Go ahead and give me that roll. I believe we used, since you don't have tracking, you can use outdoor survival. You just might need more successes, depending on how this goes.
Okay. You got pretty good outdoor survival. That's a 12 out of 51.
Okay. All right. That is 12, 24, 34. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. With at least 3. So, Marius, you get back to the original path that you diverted from, and you see that there's still, though the tracks are not as fresh. First off, I should mention that it appears that the night never broke. It is still dark.
Oh.
It's
Unnaturally
unnaturally dark, as if the sun should be up and it is not. However, it's still bright outside, almost as if there's a massive cloud that is obscuring the actual
overcast.
sunlight. Yes, so some severe overcast. But enough for everyone to see by, but it is a little gloomy. You go back and pick up the original trail that you set on easily enough and begin following it. And it appears to be going in the same direction as the creature that flew off with Seamus. I should also mention, since it was not mentioned before, that the horse that no one is riding is the one that Seamus McCready was using for his horse.
Is Thunder on there?
His Thunderer is on there.
Ooh. While we're walking along, Marius might be taking a look at that Thunder,
Oh, yes, of course you are. You kind of take it off the horse and you...
Don't look down the barrel.
you look over it. You've seen Seamus just destroy things with it. Oh, this looks interesting. It's dwarven made.
Fun.
It's very fine
I
weapon.
like,
What are you doing
I like
over there?
explosives.
Exactly. You do like
Nice.
explosives.
Seamus's his rifle is dwarven thunder. Yeah, he never lets me
Alright,
touch it.
please.
So
Don't. He will terrorize the men at arms. Do not shoot that thing. Please.
I'm gonna put it on my back at least, like
Yes.
throw it over my shoulder.
And
Oh, it looks
you're,
good on you.
yeah,
Don't you?
exactly. It looks great. It kind of, you make that little X on your back where you got your pick, and now you've got a thunderer on the other side. 2 dwarven weapons. I mean, it's a match made in heaven.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah, bro.
He's leaning over, and it is in fact loaded. It's loaded with a single shot. Unfortunately, Seamus had all the powder and shot on his person.
All the ammo.
Yes.
I figured.
So
I'm
it's at
pretty much
least
just trying to keep it on my person for safekeeping.
it's at least loaded with one.
Yeah, in case we see Seamus, I can toss it to him or something.
Tell him to even the odds. Toss it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even now.
Yeah, exactly. But with
20 pounds and just like toss it on him.
exactly, it's huge. But you, after some time, Marius, after a few hours of walking, you see something with your check as you're passing by. There's something towards the top of one of the nearby trees as you're getting deeper into the mountains. And Sir Tristan actually is the first one that kind of points it out. There's something in the tree, Master Wolf. And you kind of glance up. And sure as shit, there's your axe embedded in one of the top branches. the axe you threw into the creature's head.
Tree.
You're climbing this tree? Give me a climb check,
me 1
Marius.
Give me 1 sec. Yeah, I'm climbing this tree.
Just cut the tree down.
Cut it down. That's a 53 out of 80.
Yeah, easily enough. You begin to shimmy up this damn tree like a monkey. And he's moving at pretty good speed, Bragadine. As you're like, ooh, never seen him do this before. And a few of the pilgrims just kind of like stupidly smile as they see this foreigner climb this tree. And within a few moments, you're at the top, and you begin to wrench your axe free from one of the limbs. And from this vantage point, Marius, as you're high up now, you're about 10 feet off the ground. You glance further in the direction you think you should be going, and it looks like the trees begin to thin out, and then there is more. You're getting more into the tall mountains that you are so accustomed to. And you see that as soon as you make around the nearest bend, that this path will take you through a crevasse. You're not sure what's on the other side, but judging from the mountain on the further back, there's something in between. You are studied enough in mountains and familiar with that kind of region that you can assume enough about this from this quick glance as you study your surroundings. You easily climb
I'll
back
shout
down.
back down to them. Yeah. I'll be shouting down kind of descriptors down to Bragadine before I head back down.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, the pilgrim, the fumbling pilgrim, Bragadine, oh yes, that's yeah, you go through the mountain thing, and then you see the mud place.
Marius, he says that we will find the mud place. It is through the mountains themselves. Do you see a path for us?
There's a crevasse. Kind of give him the description of what I see. Do I see a path, I guess, or is it just kind of nature?
It's hard to tell.
natural
You
path?
think it might take you some time. It's probably going to take you until nightfall just to get to the mountain itself, or what should be nightfall in this current weather.
Okay. Might not take us another day or two, Bragadine.
I hope we can get there soon to save Emma. But yes, this seems like a good fortune has come our way.
All right. So let's make as much use of this dim light as we can.
All right. And you begin moving forward yet again. I need both of you to give me perception tests.
Okay. Ooh, I don't think that's very good.
Marius rolled a 32 out of 57.
All right. And Bragdine?
If I'm using my hearing, my sixth sense, it is 64 out of 81.
Okay.
If it's my sight, it's failure.
Yes, indeed. As you're moving, Bragadine, you hear a loud fart come from one of the men-at-arms as you are successful in your hearing test, but you see nothing. It sounds wet, and it sounds like he should probably find the lavatory as soon as possible. However, Marius,
Pants, bro.
and this is after a few hours. You're getting close, very close to the mountains. You hear this loud flatulent, Marius, and you glance around looking for its source.
Who did that?
However, Marius, you see a glint of something not too far off in the distance. Something metal. And it appears to be kind of tucked behind a few rocks.
I'm going to pull out my pick and go investigate. Give me a second. Right here, just in case.
Yeah, so Tristan
Something over there.
stops his horse and motions back for everyone to quiet down. Gives a glaring eye towards the man-at-arms that defecated himself.
He defecated shit.
He did.
You guard the rear. You smell even worse.
Smell.
And and Marius, you begin to move forward, and you find a interesting item as you take a few steps forward. You see the cold steel and the wooden grip of a pistol.
Pistol.
It's spent,
Here.
but it's just laying there on the path.
Does it look like one of Seamus's? Would I know it?
It's a pistol. He doesn't have like unique pistols, but you could probably assume it's more than likely his, judging by the lack of any kind of black powder used by the Bretonians.
Yeah. I'll grab it. And put it in my my satchel.
Okay. You grab a hold of it, put it in your satchel.
I'll yell back to Bragadine. Bragadine, I think I found Seamus's pistol. He must have dropped it. I think we're on the right way. We're going the right path. His pistol.
Oh, perfect.
I'll yell
Perfect.
louder. Yeah.
Oh yes, these guns. Perfect.
More guns,
Hurry
of
up.
course.
Come on. Let's.
Now I
Good,
feel like
good.
what Seamus does and walk an arsenal right now. You know?
Yeah, damn right you are. But you begin to set back on the path, and right as you get to the mountains, you feel that the exhaustion is beginning to set in. You can continue to press forward if you want, or you can make camp now. It is up to you.
How do the men look?
They're all looking tired. Everybody looks tired except for Sir Tristan. For some reason, him and his horse both look in perfect lack of fatigue.
I'll probably walk up to Sir Tristan and be like, "How do you do this, Tristan? You You don't seem to tire.
And as he looks down on you from up on his horse, you see his eyes are glowing more vibrantly, almost like the first time you met him. It is the lady's blessing. I do not tire as I used to.
You don't appear to have the wounds you suffered from those beasts either. They were not easy prey.
No, they were not foul creatures, so I will purge them from fair Britonia. It is another gift from my lady.
Well, us mortals down here will probably need to rest. If that's okay.
It is acceptable. And he motions for the pilgrims to begin making camp.
I'll be helping as well,
All right.
Secure perimeter and
You
stuff,
quickly
yeah.
set up a camp
We'll be
as best you
shouting
can.
at them to put it together.
All right. And you quickly set up a camp. I'm going to need... Are we taking watches?
I will take the first watch.
Okay.
All right. Bragadine, go ahead and give me a perception test. One of your men at
Okay.
arms will also be present.
Oh, fortunate for him. Oh shit. We're gonna use our other fortune point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was good. Oh, but that's a 16 out of 61 or 81 if we're using audio.
All right. Bragadine, I should also remind you, at this point you will have completed a short rest, so you can give yourself your toughness bonus and wounds back.
Okay.
As you were riding, you were not walking, so you would have gotten a short rest during this time. But you are looking around, and it's dark, and it's gotten much darker than it was before, almost pitch black. The only light is from the torches and a lantern that Marius has in his possession. There's a dim fire that you guys have lit behind you, keeping most of the cold at bay. Tristan advised against a large fire himself, and so the peasants did not build one that big. And I'm assuming Bragadine would not argue with the Grail Knight as well, so
Oh no.
small fire it is. And you're up in the mountains. It's cold, it's very dark, it's damp, but outside of snoring and a couple well-placed clattering rocks in the distance, you don't hear much else. It doesn't sound like there's footsteps approaching or anything of the sort. It's just perhaps an animal.
I looked at the man at arms. Did you hear that sound? Like pebbles or rocks?
And as you say that towards him, you notice that he sits up, and it looks like he was sleeping, standing up. And he, no, my lord.
Which direction was it?
It was coming from the direction that you were heading.
I think there's something out there. Grab yourself a torch or a stick and go out there a few tens of paces and tell me if you see or hear anything.
Go ahead and give me a leadership test, Bragadine.
Jesus Christ.
He would have been useful in the poem.
Hey, wait, would have been useful in the post, yeah.
Let's see. Oh man, I rolled 67 out of 70, so I'm
Okay.
just barely a success.
It's fine. It's fine. He Yes, my lord. And he begins to walk out away from you. Just so you know, you also, on my side, you also get severe bonuses because you are their master for your rolls. So even if you think you're going to fail a roll, you might not be failing, if that makes sense. Regardless, this man begins to walk out, and he looks really he looks scared as he walks away from camp, and he gets about 30, 40 paces away from camp, and he almost drops his torch, but then and you see it looks like a mountain goat quickly scale up the mountain where he apparently perturbed it, and he's like clutching at his chest like and he looks around again after a few moments and begins walking back. It was just an animal.
You should have seen your face, coward. Oh my gosh, hilarious.
Hilarious.
And he begins to walk back, and nothing else interesting happens, Braggedy. Marius, are you going to take watch?
I will. Roll perception.
Go ahead and roll it.
All right. That's 14 out of 57.
Okay. Marius, you're glancing around. You don't know. This place is disturbing. The rocks just don't look right. And you're used to being in the mountains. There's something strange about some of the nearby natural-looking structures. The way the rock formations are placed. And you swear a few hundred feet of you up in the mountain, you see shapes moving every now and then, but nothing close enough to be of note. But you're just uneasy by the feeling.
Someone's watching.
Something might be watching you, but from such an extreme distance, there's probably not much you can do about it. But the rest of your watch goes uneventful.
Quick question. Is Sir Tristan up this entire time?
Sir Tristan is actually, shortly during Braggadine's watch, he would have sat down and began his prayers. You've noticed that he prays often and usually aloud. The pilgrims set up around him when he does so, whenever they can, whenever he doesn't shoo them away. And they also begin to pray, but even though you don't speak the language, Marius, you can tell that their prayers are fumbling and very different from what you're assuming is an eloquent speech that is Sir Tristan.
Okay. I'm trying to, whenever someone talks to, I'm just going to try to focus in on their speech as well, if I can.
Okay. All right. See if you can pick up a few words. All right. What did we do last time for your...
Well, it just took me years to learn Dawi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Go ahead.
It says it says on the skill.
Yeah.
It says technically on the skill. It says give it a month's exposure to any language. You count as a basic skill with a successful intelligence test.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Go ahead and give me. Yeah. Let's just give me an intelligence test, and we'll see if you can pick up a couple words right now.
Okay. Ooh, 33 out of 37.
Okay, critical success.
Yeah. Oh, 36. Sorry, 36.
Okay, it's still critical success. You're starting to pick up some words, Marius. By no means are you fluent.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah.
starting to pick up a few words, and you're starting to understand, especially command words. And obviously, you can understand the word "the lady" and a
Sure.
lot of other key words that these pilgrims, these holy men, have been saying over and over again. So you're starting to get it. You're not quite there, but you're starting to get it.
Okay. That will probably end my watch.
Okay. And as your watch ends, Marius, we're going to flip back over to Seamus McCready.
Ooh, yeah.
Seamus, you are in almost mute horror as the necromancer Gaston begins to approach you. Seamus, I'm going to need a cool test, and I'm going to need an endurance test.
The cool test is a 23 out of 49.
Okay, and your endurance test?
Endurance test is a 6 out of 67.
Okay. So, all right. First off, he begins to approach you, and you slug off any fear of this man. You will not break. You will not break easily. And, however, Seamus, as he approaches you, he takes the serrated knife and looks over at your left arm, specifically the stitched up wound. Well, how about we start here? And as he begins to carve into your flesh, and you begin to stifle what would be a cry out, you know without a shadow of a doubt that your mind will break before your body does if this continues for too long. So, normally, this torture mechanic that Jumbo Thick has invented for this game, involves other members of the party being present. But since they are not, we're going to do it a little fast and loose. You are going to get 3 actions or attempts to do something while tethered to this table. Keep in mind, you are restrained. You're not like immobile, if that makes any sense. There's still a little bit of give as you can shift and shimmer your way. So you just let me know what you would like to attempt to do, or see, or remember, or anything of that sort. As he begins to cut into you, what would you like to do?
So as he starts cutting in, I let out like a little grimace. Kind of like look over to him if I can. It's like, God, no. Do it a little lower.
Yes. You know what?
That was good.
All right. You know what? Go ahead and give me the intimidation check. And you do get a plus. You get a plus 20 on this.
Ooh, that is a 2 out of a 75.
As he cuts into you, and you say that to him, he kind of, and you see just for a moment a flash of fear glancing over at you, and the knife becomes unsteady. And he backs away. Perhaps this was the wrong implement to be using. I know. This will do. And Seamus, I need you to give me another cool test.
All right. Ooh, yeah. That is a 13 out of 49.
Okay, very good. You barely passed it. As he grabs a hold of one of your fingernails with the pliers and rips it away from your body. just rips it clean off. You shout out, and then he goes to the next one and rips the next one off, and then the next one, until you have no fingernails on your right hand. There is just openly bleeding, and though you barely manage to stifle the pain, and there's just your hand feels red and hot and beginning to swell.
And like a hysterical, like laughing and crying, compose myself and just like, my balls itch too. Why don't you give them a scratch?
All right.
That was awesome.
All right. And well, I see. I'll have to get more creative then. And he walks over to the table. You get your action as he turns away. Would you like to attempt anything?
I'll probably try to like test the shackles or whatever I'm in. If there's any.
Go ahead and give
any
me
way of
an
them
athletics
getting
test, and we'll see how this goes.
All right. That's a 44 out of 47.
Okay, Seamus, you begin to move, and all the blood that is pouring out of your fingernails has coated your hand and wrist on your hand, and you feel like you can slip that hand out of the shackle if you need to.
All right.
You could do so now, or you could wait. The option is yours.
I'll probably wait. Is my equipment like at my feet?
No, your equipment is up against the wall. That's going to be about 10 feet away from you. The doors on the opposite side, the doors behind you in kind of a strange way. You're laying flat on this stone pedestal.
All right. And then my left hand was the one that is possibly
Yes.
slipping free.
Yeah, that's the one that you think you can get in and out. But you currently leave it so. And you glance over and I wonder what this will do to you. Yes, this will be a fine test indeed. And he turns around, Seamus, and he's holding a long object in a familiar sheath as he unslides your own blade. And he approaches you with the sword you've taken so many lives with. I wonder indeed.
Yes.
And he poises it over you, and then he's glancing about you, Seamus. And with a critical success, he takes a few steps back. Well, maybe you're more dangerous than I thought. And then he walks back over to the table. He appears to have noticed that you are able to slip in and out of your shackle. Seamus.
No.
Damn.
I'm sorry. Critical success. It happened. Rolled a 1. So he goes back to the table. Perhaps this will do then. And you see him pull something small from underneath the table, Seamus. And your eyes go wide as he turns around and takes one of your pistols. Boom!
Oh.
You take a shot to the left knee. As you cry out. Go ahead and give me an endurance test, Seamus, at minus 30.
Oh, shit. All right. That is a 19 out of 37.
Okay, you cry out and you almost go unconscious from the pain. You have the equivalent of a torn muscle, as your knee has been shattered. And yeah, that just happened.
Again, in a laughing, hysterical, once that adrenaline rubs off, like, no, you just missed it a little higher.
Oh, well, perhaps we. And he looks like he's sweating and not doing very well during this long interrogation process. Perhaps this can wait till before the ceremony. Yes, I'll be ready by then. We don't need you anyway. Maybe I should just end this now. We just need that. We just need that book. Yes, that's all we need. And then he makes a whispered motion under his breath and begins doing some movements with his fingers. And two familiar guards, grave guard, step into the room and begin approaching you, Seamus. And then it all goes black. Because you would have lost blood and went unconscious before your final act. I'm sorry. And that's where we're going to take our first break.